Hi, in this video I'm going to talk you through how to get into your side plank or full Vashistasana from Wild Thing. And we're going to troubleshoot some of the common problems, and then at the end of the video I'll show you some creative transitions that you can use once you've nailed this transition on its own. So starting on your mat, if you're there, obviously we're going to come from side plank. We're going to come from Wild Thing for this one. So let's get into our Wild Thing. Now this is obviously our back bend, so it's going to get a little bit tricky to get into a side plank here if we do not gather our core at the front. So our front body is very open and expanded here, and as with any core positions, we need that to contract a bit. So we want to come back to a neutral position with our torso first of all, making sure that we get out of our back bend. So sometimes what happens is we come into a side plank sort of looking thing, but there's still a big back bend here. So then it makes, first of all, you're not gonna get in contact with your core in the way you need to, but this leg coming up is really, really hard. So the first thing that needs to happen from your Wild Thing is that you gather your core, turn your chest completely to the side without closing it in. So a demonstration of that. I'm gonna gather my core. I reach my top arm straight up to the ceiling here, trying to stack one hip on top of the other. Then my foot behind me here feels really nice and light, okay? Because I am stacked on my hand and on my foot. So I can bring the knee to my chest. As I bring the knee to my chest, I have to stick my hips back. So I have to pike my hips so I can get a hold of that toe. And as I lift the leg to the sky, I open my hips up. Look to the sky if you can. And then I can guide this toe forward and place it into my lunge after that. So mainly it's about counterbalancing the body in the direction that you need to, so it doesn't feel so strained. Yeah, this arm does a lot of work, but we do not want to put all of the pressure onto the arm. So I counterbalance with my hips. As the leg comes off the ground behind, because I gathered my core, my back leg feels really nice and light. Then when I bring the leg forward, I have to shift my hips back. So if you watched my other Vashistasana video, I go through this in much detail of how to get into the position on its own. But just to recap, I have to move my hips back for the weight of the leg being allowed forwards. And then as I lift the leg to the sky, I have to again open the hips up, not leaving my butt sitting back, because then again I'm gonna fall the other way. So let me show you it without the hips being correct first. So from Wild Thing, I gather my core. It's all good, it's all good. To get this leg forward, my hips has to move back. And what happens here, if I don't open my hips by pushing my hips up and forward, I'm gonna get way too much weight towards the back and fall out of my position. So what has to happen is this leg comes forward, my hips pikes back, I stretch it to the front. Now as the leg lifts, I push my hips forward, lift them up to the sky, and that makes me nice and stacked for this leg to be controlled into whatever next position it needs to go to. So that's it. Core and hips are key components here. We need to gather the core from our back bend. Then the hips has to shift where it is in space in opposition to the leg. Now let's go through some creative transitions so that you can implement it in your practice.